Second thing is cues. Now you already know about queuing. This is an easy one to teach you. You already know about queuing because you queue every single record when you load it onto your decks. You go to the first beat and you press the queue button. But that is a temporary queue. That queue is generally forgotten by your DJ software when you next load the track up. It's just because you can move it around. You know you can move it around. You know that if a track's paused later on in the track and you press queue again, that temporary queue point will jump. But there's another kind of queue point that most DJ software and most DJ controllers allow you access to, and that is permanent queue points. And there's multiple permanent queue points per track. And the good thing about permanent queue points is that they're remembered, so that when you load that track again, the queue points that you set are still there. And of course the other good thing about them is there's more than one of them. So you can set queue points at various points in your track that are interesting to you. Let me show you why that's good. And we're going to use the same record. And what I'm going to do is turn the loop off to start with. And I'm going to set a queue point at, let's set one at the, where we would normally set a queue point, right at the very beginning. So let's jump to the beginning of the tune. And I'm going to set a cue point. And depending on your controller, this will be somewhere different, so it really doesn't matter what I'm doing on this controller. The point is I'm setting a cue point. On the software, you can see there's a flag or a line with a cue point set. That's got the number 1 by it. Slightly different on Virtual DJ and Itch, but they've all got the same functionality. The actual function is exactly the same. So there's your cue point set, and it's exactly the same as the temporary cue points, except instead of pressing the big Q button in front of you, there'll be other buttons that say Q1, 2, 3 or Q1, 2, 3, 4 or however many you happen to have, which will jump you to that cue point. And on this one, it's down here at the bottom. I had to press a shift key, so there it is. Okay, so you might be saying, well, what's the point of that? I can already do that. What have I gained from doing that? Well, what you've gained is the fact that you can now go on and do some other ones. So let's do another cue point right at the beginning of the break, the first break of the track. So I'm going to jump to the break and find that point first. Right, it's there. Okay, so I'm now up there, and I'm going to set my second cue point. So there's now a flag there telling me I've got a cue point there. So now I can start at that point of the track as well. Great, let's set another one. Let's set one at, if you remember on this track we had a stuttery bit. Probably don't, but I'm about to show you again. So at the end of when the break kicked in and it was all going mental again, there was a bit where it kind of broke down. Let's try and find that bit. That bit there. Let's set a cue point there. Cue number 3, and there's the flag for cue number 3. And for completion's sake, let's set a cue point at the end of a break where everything's kicked in and it's going mental. So let's find that. Let's find